Hello guys, and welcome to another discussion video. And the next update for Mario Strikers Battle League is coming out tomorrow, and that's including Bowser Jr., Birdo, the Shellfish gear set, and the Urban Rooftop Stadium. And they also said that this is the final update, which I saw coming from like 50 miles away. Because I feel like with Mario sports games, especially over the past couple years, it seems like they're really dropping the support for these pretty quickly. And I'll get into why they might be doing that and why that's a problem in a little bit. But even with these updates, the game still feels lacking. Like, it sucked that it was unfinished and barely had any content at launch, but it still feels like there's not a lot of content here. Since I guess 16 characters is decent, but that's still less than the amount of characters that were in Charged. Like, Charged had a total of 20. I mean, I know that includes, like, both captains, sidekicks, but there's a similar system here, like, but you just, like, choose any character rather than choosing, like, a captain and sidekicks. So, it's kind of disappointing that they didn't go all out for the characters here and just had basically a pretty generic roster number of 16. I feel like just during the Switch era, that doesn't really seem like enough. 10 was just horrible for a base roster, but 16 is still kind of lacking, considering how many that Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Strikers Battle League have. And I think 16 is the amount of characters that Mario Golf had at launch. And Mario Golf felt lacking, so pretty disappointing that in total in this game that there's 16 characters. I really wish they would have gone all out and had at least 20, because there's still a lot of characters that people wanted to see, like Dry Bones or Petey Piranha, Monty Mole, and I think like Koopa, different characters like that were in the older games that people wanted to see that weren't here. And yeah, while I do like characters like Birdo and Bowser Jr., these characters really feel like they should have been there at launch. Like, I feel like the whole point of having, like, updates and extra content are things that make people excited. I mean, yeah, Bowser Jr. is a pretty good character, Birdo is a pretty good character, I like those characters in the Mario series, but they're not really, like, extra characters. Like, they don't really feel like something that would be added later. Like, I feel like having the excitement of something like a new Smash reveal, or like the amount of excitement those characters have, or even like the booster course pass in Mario Kart, where like Coconut Mall or Maple Treeway, those are really exciting to people, but characters like Bowser Jr. and Birdo, you expect to see those in a Mario game. Like, Birdo was like in the roster of Mario Party Superstars. Like, those are characters that you expect to see. I mean, it is nice to see Birdo, because Birdo has been pretty underused lately, but just in general, I think it really feels like something that should have been in the base game, like at least an unlockable character or something like that, not really like stuff that would be added later. And on top of that, it feels lacking in general with like all of the stadiums and everything, because the stadiums really don't have many differences between them. Like, I do like the aesthetic that they're going for in this game. Like, I do like the futuristic style. I feel like it kind of has its own identity going for it, kind of like the post-apocalyptic theme of Charged. But at the same time, there really isn't many differences, or any differences at all, in terms of gameplay styles between these stadiums. Like, they should have at least had something like different types of terrain other than grass that were fitting to these different stadiums. And the fact that this game allows you to customize options, they should have gave you like an option to either just play with grass or play with different types of terrain or just play with dirt, different things like that. Like, that would have been nice to have here. Like, it would have made like the different stadiums unique. And they could have also added stuff like gimmicks or stage hazards. I know not everyone likes them, and I know it kind of strays a little bit away from the competitive nature of this game that they were trying to push, but it would have been nice to at least have a toggle. Like, I mean, Smash is pretty competitive, and even those games have stage hazards, and Ultimate has a way to turn them off. So I feel like there should have been something like that here in Battle League. Like Mario games, like especially like the spin-offs, they're known for having different gimmicks in like different stages and different things like that. Like Mario Party always has like a gimmick and different things like that. And yeah, and I think also some of the other Mario sports games have gimmicks. Like even Mario Golf has gimmicks in Mario Golf Super Rush even has like different gimmicks in each of the stadiums, or not stadiums, but the golf courses on there. But Mario Strikers Battle League doesn't have that, and it's kind of not really fitting to just have a blank slate here of a stadium, because this game has a lot of personality going for it. Like the animations are really nice. I like the aesthetic of the stadiums themselves. Like it seems like there's a lot of energy put into that. So it's kind of unfitting that they haven't had any differences at all. Like it kind of seems out of place that this game is just really boring in terms of like the stadiums and everything. I don't think the gameplay is boring. And with the gameplay, I feel like that's one of the good aspects of this game. Like one of the few really great things that I like about this game. Like that's the only reason why I've played it for over 20 hours. Like I actually liked the gameplay, and I kind of liked grinding for the clubs and everything. I actually thought that was decent, like that club mechanic and everything. So this game had a lot of potential. Like, it could have had the potential to be better than Charged. Like, if this game actually had, like, differences between the stadiums, and it had, like, double the amount of stadiums that it has now, and at least 20 characters, and I'll get into a new mode, but if it had that too, I feel like it could have had the potential to actually be better than Charged. Like, there's definitely a good base here, but they really didn't build off of it that much. Like, it really feels like a skeleton of a great successor to the older Mario Strikers games. Like, the gameplay is there, the charm is there, like, the animations are good, and I like the art style with the different stadiums, but they didn't go far with it. Like, there's barely anything here, so it really just feels like the skeleton of a good Mario Strikers game. Like, it's like if a Paper Mario game released, and it finally returned to the style of the Thousand Year Door in 64, but it only had like 2 or 3 chapters, and it only had 2 partners, and there were only like 5 to 10 enemy types, and just like everything else was just flowing with charm. But like the problem is that it like had barely any content. That's basically the equivalent of what's happening with Mario Strikers. The basic formula is there, but they're not really doing anything with it here. It feels severely held back, and it's really disappointing because this game had a lot of potential, and people have been waiting years for the Mario Strikers series to return. I was really excited when this was first announced, and even though I was a little disappointed at launch, I thought they were going to at least do more with this game, and at least kind of add enough to where it would be at least decent. Like, if it wasn't going to be as good as Charged, I thought it was at least going to be like decent and have a decent amount of content, but there's barely anything, and they're not going to support the game anymore. I know it was already a problem that it was lacking content at launch, and that they added like a lot of things that should have been there, but they should have at least went farther. Like, at the very least, they should have went in the route of Mario Tennis Aces and at least added like a ton of things like after launch and everything. I mean, even though that should have been there at launch, at least the game like Mario Tennis Aces, it at least feels like has a decent amount of content there. But with Battle League, it really seems like there's not much here. And another thing, like I mentioned earlier, is it really should have had more modes. Like, Mario Strikers Charged had like a challenge mode. It kind of had like different things like similar to mission mode in Mario Kart DS. Something like that would have added to the replayability of this game, and actually having like more unlockables and different things. I do like the club system. I do like how you can customize the stadiums and different things like that, but I feel like they could have gone farther. Maybe even like a stage customizer if they would have had like if they would have had variations between the different stadiums. They should have at least like giving you like an option to actually like customize your own stadium, maybe add like different background elements and mix and match different things. That would have added a lot to this game. And another thing is like even more items, because it even feels like the items are lacking since there's only a few items, and Charged had a decent amount of items. Like it had like the blue shells and like different, like on top of like the green and red shells and everything, the spiked shells and different things like that. Yeah, it really feels disappointing that they only kind of, it feels like they went part of the way with this game. They really didn't go all out, which is pretty disappointing. And it really seems like that, like, Next Level Games, it really seemed like they had a vision here with this game. Like, it really seems like they were trying to return to, like, a proper, like, Mario Strikers thing here. It really seems like they were trying to bring back this series in an interesting way. But it seems like Nintendo severely held it back. And it held it back to the point where the game had barely any content. And it really feels, like I said, like a skeleton of a proper successor to the previous games. And I feel like it kind of exposes Nintendo's problems with this approach in general. Like, what they do is release games with barely any content. Like, they did that with ARMS, they did that with Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Switch Sports, and now this game. And what they do, like, especially, like, later on, like, I mean, with the early games, like, ARMS and Mario Tennis, at least it seemed like at the end of the game, and, like, when they did all the updates and everything, it at least seemed like it had a decent amount of content at the end when they finally, like, finished the updates and everything. But with, like, things like Mario Golf and Battle League, it seems like they're only doing a couple updates. Because the thing is, when these games first launched, they were only popular for a few weeks. But then most people dropped the game because there wasn't much to do, and Nintendo added too little, too late. And by the time Nintendo was adding these updates, there really wasn't much of a community behind these games, and there weren't a lot of people playing these games. So I feel like that might be why Nintendo drops the support of these games so quickly, and it really makes these games feel barren and so much worse than they could be, which is pretty disappointing. Like, Battle League had a lot of potential. Like, just looking, like I said, like the gameplay, the charm, the art style, a lot of different things. It's really disappointing that they didn't go all the way with this game. So yeah, I really hope Nintendo ditches their, model they have with free updates and everything, because it's really harming a lot of the games that they're putting out. Like, I mean, not all of them are bad, but it's definitely not benefiting the games at all. Like, it doesn't really bring players back, because whenever they update these games, like, people just play them for a couple days and drop the game again. That's what happened with Mario Golf, that's what happened with Battle League, and it seems to be continuing to happen, like, even with Switch Sports and different things like that. Like, it's pretty disappointing, and I really hope Nintendo drops this at some point, because it's really not working for any of their games other than Splatoon. So anyways, that's my thoughts on Mario Strikers Battle League and how they were handling this game overall. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.